Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our ninth class of this hybrid English course. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Sorry,
Sorry,
I
I
was
was
muted.
muted.
It was muted. Okay. Good morning, Rosangela, Mariela, Luis Enriquez. Okay, guys. So today's is our ninth class of this hybrid English course, and we're going to start right away with our class for today. It's going to be a short class, but it's going to be interesting. We're going to review the exercises from our past class, Monday's class, and we will introduce a new topic and we will leave just one or two exercises related to that topic. Remember that tomorrow, all of you have a small presentation based on a country you chose, and that you have to use active voice and passive voice. Okay. During tomorrow's class as well, we will overview more conditionals. I think that tomorrow we will overview the second and third conditional. So it's going to be pretty interesting too. So let's start with our debate for today before we start our class. Today's debate is an easy one. Tomorrow's debate, though, is going to be fired up. It's going to be really interesting tomorrow's debate. I was going to use it today, but I decided to postpone it. Okay. So, this morning's debate is this one. Should people need a more difficult test to get a driver's license? Should people need a more difficult test to get a driver's license? We know that here in Dominican Republic we have a situation when it comes to traffic or situations with the huge amount of accidents that we have every single day. So this is like a natural question. Should people need a more difficult test to get a driver's license? So think about that for a moment, and I will give you 1 minute to think about that. And then I will hear your ideas and your thoughts about this. Okay, time is up. So tell me, Rosangela, what do you think about this? I know that you are in the US right now, but think about this in terms of Dominican Republic's situation.
Hello,
Hello,
good
good
morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Teacher.
Mhm.
Mm.
I
I
think
think
um,
um,
uh,
uh,
let me
let me
a
a
moment,
moment,
please.
please. I think we need to get a license because if we had an accident, it's difficult for single people. We need take a license for safer. Um, uh, if teacher, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You're doing good so far.
Okay, thank you. Um, um, I'm going to transfer my license in this week because I need to take a car here. I had my license in the Dominican Republic. The first the first things I think here was to have an appointment for this because I need have my license for taking safer. Um, I need to study for the test. For prepare for the better prepare the driver and challenges. I don't know, teacher.
Okay, okay. So you were talking that you need your driver's license from the US. So because you have a driver's license from Dominican Republic, I think that
Yeah.
the process is easier. You don't have to take as many tests as a person who is receiving his first license for the first time. Is that it? Or you have to take all the tests as a normal person who has never had a driver's license?
No, I only have to test the right test. No, not for driving. No for no on the car.
You mean the written test?
Only
The written test?
yes, the reason in the computer. Only that.
Okay, the theory. That is the. Yeah, yeah. The written test. Just a theory. Okay,
What?
okay.
This is what?
The theory, the theoretical part of the exam, which is the knowledge that you need to have.
Okay.
Yeah, because they won't, apparently, they won't test you your skills, your driver's skills, because you already have a license, so you must have those skills. So they are only going to evaluate you related to the knowledge that you need when you are driving in the US, if you know the rules and stuff like that. That's what I gather from what you just said. Okay, thank you, Rosangela. Rosangela, remember, be brave. Whatever comes to your mind, say it. And and remember, you're there. So this should be easier every time. Much easier every time because you're practicing every day in the US.
No,
You're not?
it's not. No practice for the car. It's for signal to know the signal. What what's the meaning of the signal
Of the signs.
is the signs. Yeah, the signs.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's the theory. Okay. Thank you, Rosangela. Let's continue with Mariela. Mariela, what do you think? Do you think that if we had a more difficult process to get a driver's license in Dominican Republic, that would improve our streets, how safety they could be or they would be?
Good morning. I think the driver the test is is good like is now. But because the problem is not the test, the problem is the people when they are driving because they don't respect the law. Uh, so the problem is that not the test.
Okay. Okay.
Because I know the test have the two parts, like Rosangela was saying, have a theory part where you need to take a test and talk about the sign or the how you you should drive in the road in the street. But the problem is when they don't have supervision because they do whatever they want to do. And another part of the driver, the test is the practical test. So is the test in general is complete. The problem is the people.
Okay. Thank you, Mariela. Luis Enriquez, what do you think?
I think that they should have a more difficult test process because you know that in this country you can pay for a license. So you pay to one of the testers and they pass you. Here we are talking about life. If you don't know how to drive or you don't know the rules, you put yourself and others' lives into danger. Let's go beyond. In the schools, there should be a subject about driving in order to the teenagers have the knowledge, or at least the base knowledge of driving, because it's too dangerous when some people drive a car without the knowledge or without knowing the rules. For example, there are a lot of people driving that don't know at least the 50% of the rules. There are many rules that they don't know. For example, when I got my driver's license, I noticed that the process is too weak because they sometimes they don't test. They only test your vision, your vision, and don't test your driving ability or if you know the rules. There are, how can I say charla in English?
They give you a talk. It's like talk. Yes. I think it's a talk.
Oh, I speech.
That is like un discurso, yeah, speech. You can say speech, yeah. You can say
something like that.
And even a talk. Sometimes they use the verb talk to talk about a charla.
Okay, but I noticed that the most of the people inside weren't paying attention to what they were saying, and they were explaining a lot of rules that in my case I didn't know, but I paid attention and I took advantage of that. But the most of the people don't, and there were a lot of motorcycle drivers. You can imagine they were chatting on their phones, etc. So the other thing that can help the driving problem in this country is the consequences of not following the rules, because there is not much consequences. For example, I was talking with boss driver that had more than 80 penalties. So that is crazy because having or getting more than 80 penalties, it could cause losing your driver license. Is too much.
Yeah.
I think that
There should be a limit.
yes, or at least a limit per year. For example, if you get more than three a year, they should suspend your driver license for a year. There is a consequence because those people need that driver license to work. And if you have consequences, you are going to pay attention to the rules.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's a good idea, to at least limit the amount of I don't know how to say this, of
Penalties, violations.
yeah, you can say, yeah, because in English they have like this rule with stars. Your driver license comes with stars. It depends on how many stars. Depending on how many stars do you get, it will
Points. In English is points.
points. Yeah, points. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we have
Points.
like this system, this scale of points. So depending on how many points do you get, you will lose or not your driver's license. But I agree with that. I think that the test should be more difficult. I don't think that we Dominicans take this seriously. As you just said, people go there and they are distracted. They are paying attention to other things because they are not worried about losing their driver's license. And that is not good. And we can talk about the visa process, for instance. We all know that it's really hard to get a visa, and is one of the biggest dream of a Dominican to have a visa. And you do all this preparation, you put everything in order, you pay attention to every minor detail before you go into the interview with the consular, and you try to stick to all the rules they taught you before you go in there, and you try to answer every question correctly. You try to good a good. You try to give a good impression, a good first impression, and all the things that are related to getting a visa. You try to bear that in mind. And after you get the visa, you don't get crazy and start doing like dangerous stuff or trying to bend the rules. No, you try to be as responsible as possible. So you try to obey and pay attention to every rule, especially when you travel to the US. So if you are driving in the US, after you get your visa, you travel to the US and then you're driving in there. What normally Dominicans do? Well, Dominicans obey every law. They stop at every sign. They read every line. Why? Because they're afraid. Because we know that we can lose our visa. Okay? So because we're afraid, we behave. But here in Dominican Republic, we're not afraid. We don't see the driver's license as something that someone can take away from me, or that it's something that maybe I won't obtain because I failed in the test. So we need that. We need that we Dominicans feel that pressure when we go into when we go and try to get a driver's license. We need to feel that pressure, that we know that things are difficult and they might not get a driver's license because they did bad in the test, or because they did bad on the driver in the practical test, that we feel that pressure, right? And then when we do obtain our driver's license, we will be responsible because we know how much it took to get it. So now you're going to value it even more because you know how hard it was. And I'm not talking about money here. For me, it could be as cheaper as it can be. I don't care. I'm talking about the process itself. How prepared should you be to take a driver's license, and how good can you do on that test, but only if you are being responsible by studying the book, learning the rules, and then applying that in the field when they are evaluating you. So I think that we need that. We need that. Luis Enrique said something really interesting here. People buy the driver's license. We know about that. And that won't change unless there is a change in the system. We need a change in the system in order to avoid those kind of situations where people can go with money and buy their driver's license without even taking the test. And then those people are on the streets driving like crazy and causing more accidents, especially the motorcycles. And I think that we can even go a step further. As I mentioned, I think before, in Spain, it is harder to get a motorcycle driver's license than to get a vehicle driver's license. Why? Because motorcycles are more dangerous. So you should be double informed, double prepared, double balanced, everything doubled if you want to handle and to drive or to ride a motorcycle, right? Because you are in a dangerous situation. Your experience, or you are in risk of a bigger or more dangerous accident than a person driving a four tire car or a vehicle. So we need something like that because we have here a lot of motorcycles, but not necessarily those people are in the right mind or know the rule to ride those motorcycles on the street. And we see that every single day in Dominican Republic. So summarizing, I believe that yes, we need a more difficult test. People should be afraid when they're going to take a driver's license test. They should be afraid when they're driving on the street because they know that they might be repercussions, and the ultimate repercussion is losing your driver's license and even going to jail. Something like that. We need harder rules and consequences. Tell me, Rosangela.
Teacher, nowadays you need to take a different license for the motorcycle. It's not the same for the drive of the car. It's more complicated with the test, with the it's much money. It's expensive.
You mean in the U.S.?
No, in Dominican
In
Republic.
Dominican Republic? Well, it's not working.
No, not working. The police they catch the person who doesn't have a license for motorcycle.
Yeah, I think that the majority of, well, that's a huge statement. Well, the majority of motorcycles are driving then without a driver's license because
Yes.
but we need to do something. If that is true and the test is harder and it's more difficult, it's not working because we don't see that reflected on the streets. And if we establish a new system, it is supposed to be reflected on the streets, and we don't see that. And that is a weakness in the system that must be attended, that should be attended, and the government and then all the institutions related to that should be paying attention to what is happening. If the problem is that we have too many motorcycles without a driver's license, we need to start taking away motorcycles. It doesn't matter, regardless of the person who is driving the motorcycle or his story or his cues, because we know that there is always a story. I am feeding my family. This is the way that I can provide to my family, yada, yada, yada. Those things are really, really good, but you need to obey the law. And if you don't have a driver license, you're going to lose your motorcycle and you're going to jail. People need to be afraid of the law. The law is not supposed to be your friend. It's supposed to be there to scare you. Okay? That's the only thing we can do, right? Okay, so let's see. Sarah and Sadiel, who just logged in. We have been talking about the situation here in Dominican Republic, and the question is pretty simple. Let's start with Sarah. Should people need a more difficult test to get a driver's license? Sarah, are you there? If you're talking with us, if you're talking to us, we can't hear you. Sadiel, let's continue with Sadiel. Sadiel, are you there?
Hello, everyone.
Good morning, Sadiel. Sadiel, so the question is, should people need a more difficult test to get a driver's license in Dominican Republic? What do you think?
Okay. As well as a hot topic because you don't get acknowledgement about this topic. Then many people can die.
Yeah.
Our country is the I think the first or the second in that way.
Yeah, we are the leading country in the world in accidents. The leading country, the number one.
The first or the second?
The first one,
Okay.
the leading one.
Okay. Then I think not yet the more difficult test. No, more difficult test. No. Because I think a test it's not just the one thing we had to and we had to put more difficult.
Okay.
I think there are another wage for complement that way. It's not just a test.
Okay.
Just a test. No. In elementary school, the boy can get to say to see videos that they can see the consequence that not to not to see the stagnant in the way in the street.
Okay.
You see okay, yes. In the other country that in the United States put a video exactly before the people injuries. Do you see that? Do you drink beer? And you drive a car while you are driving. You see the consequence. People dying. I think that can sensibilize,
Okay.
can puede sensibilizarse and take care while he's driving a car.
Yes.
Or before you get the license. Let me put the point of view.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that people can become more sensitive, become aware of the consequences of not driving correctly if we start showing them videos about what is going to happen if they don't drive safely. So I think that a good improvement, and I think that I read that this week or the past week, that the government is going to start educating students um, about driving since high school, and that is an improvement. Maybe that is what we need to create a conscience around the driving situation in Dominican Republic, because as Mariela said, we can see that we have a situation with the drive with the test, right? It's too easy, but there is also a problem with the drivers, with the riders, with the persons that are driving or riding a motorcycle. So we need a more sensitive conscience, or people who are more aware of the consequences, of the terrible consequences if you don't obey the law. Okay, and I think that the best way to create that conscience around that topic is to educate people in the early stages of their lives, where they are more easy to be impressed by something, to be educated around something. Okay. Okay, guys. So thank you to all of you for sharing your ideas. Tomorrow's topic is going to be more interesting, even, and it's going to be a hot potato topic. You will see tomorrow what it is about. Okay, so let's continue with this. So remember that in our last class, we were talking about the past continuous. We were talking about the past continuous, and we were doing some exercises about the past continuous, right? We compared the past continuous with the past simple, and we explained the difference between the past simple and the past continuous. This morning, we're going to review the 4 exercises that we left on Monday, and then we're going to continue with the present perfect continuous. Okay, more continuous tenses. So let's start with this one. Who wants to read number 1, number 2? Rosangela, go ahead.
Yes. I'm working. I was working home when I saw an old friend. She was studying when her mom called her.
Very well. So I was walking home when I saw an old friend, and she was studying when her mother called her. So we have here, I was walking, past continuous, she was studying, right? Past continuous at the beginning, and we have past simple at the end. Okay, let's continue with number 3 and number 4. Luis.
We were watching a movie when the electricity went out. They were driving to the airport when they heard a strong noise.
Okay, we were watching a movie when the electricity went out, and they were driving to the airport when they heard a strange noise. Electricity. Well, in Dominican Republic, we have a situation that is not common for the average American, and is with the electricity, because we have here uh, apagones. We have here sometimes the electricity comes in, goes out constantly, and those are not common situations in America. So, if we want to say that we have no electricity, we can say that the electricity went out. Oye, no hay luz. ¿Cómo lo digo? The electricity went out, or the power went out. Okay, let's continue with number 5 and number 6. Mariela.
He is sleeping when someone knocked on the door. I was having breakfast when my phone rang.
Very well. And number 7 and number 8. Number 7 and number 8. Don't be shy. Mariela.
Number 7. While we were waiting for the bus, we met our teacher. 8. While she was cooking, her husband was cleaning the kitchen.
Okay, well done. So while we were waiting for the bus, we met our teacher, and while she was cooking, her husband was cleaning the kitchen. Okay, very well. Easy peasy. Nothing difficult about that, huh? Okay, so let's continue with this one. Sorry about that. That was a loud motorcycle. So choose based on meaning. Both answers may be grammatically possible, but the meaning changes. So let's see number 1. Your friend asks, "What were you doing at 10 last night?" A. I watched TV. B. I was watching TV. Which one is it? Rosangela?
Oh, teacher, excuse me. I was watching TV when you called it.
Okay, I was watching TV. And what about number 2, Rosangela? Your friend asks, "What did you do last night?" I watched TV. I was watching TV.
Teacher, I confused the exercise.
You're confused with this exercise?
Yes.
Okay.
I was dumb. I do. Okay. Your friend asked you do last night? I was watching TV.
Are you sure?
The second.
Okay.
I watched TV.
Okay. So here we have, thank you, Rosangela. We have 2 questions, but we can see that each of these questions have a different tense. So both are in the past, but one is using the verb to be and a gerund, while this one is using the auxiliary did. So both sentences are in the past. This is asking about a continuous action in the past. What were you doing? Okay, so the answer is I was watching TV because that was the action happening at this time. While or whereas, what did you do last night is a question not about what were you doing, but what exactly did you do? I mean, what was the action? Okay, so what was the completed action is different. It's not what was in progress at a particular moment. This one is asking about what was in progress at that moment, at 10. But this one is asking about a specific event or activity as a completed fact, something that was over already. So your friend asks, what did you do last night? The answer is simple. I watched TV. Remember that the tense that we see normally in the question is a tense that we will see also or that we will use also in the answer. Okay? Let's continue with number 3 and 4. Mariela.
You were sleeping, suddenly the phone rang. I was sleeping when the phone rang.
Yes, I was sleeping when the phone rang. Practically the same idea. Number 4 here. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we
Okay,
can.
sorry. Could you please repeat Mariela number 4 because I lost my connection, my internet connection for a moment there.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to
You want to
describe the
describe
main
the main
event of
event
your
of your
Saturday?
Saturday?
I woke
I
up,
woke up,
had
had
breakfast, went
breakfast, went
shopping, and
shopping,
came
and
home.
came home.
Okay. I woke up, had breakfast, went shopping, and came home. Very well. So, what is the difference? So, here we have, remember that I told you on Monday that when we are talking about a sequence of actions, we normally use, in this case, when we're talking about a sequence of actions that took place, where we're going to use the past simple. Okay? So, we say, I woke up, had breakfast, went shopping, and came home. The past simple is appropriate because you are listing completed main events in sequence. Okay? All of these actions took place in the past, and you are only mention these completed actions in sequence. And the best way to do that in English is using the past simple. Okay? Okay, so the last one. Two actions were happening simultaneously. Tell me, Rosangela.
Two actions were happening simultaneously. While I was studying, my brother was watching TV.
Okay? Remember, simultaneously. Simultaneously.
Simultaneously. Oh my God.
That's a good word to practice, simultaneously. So, two actions were happening simultaneously. While I was studying, my brother was watching TV. So, these two actions were happening at the same time. Someone was studying and at the same time someone was watching TV. Easy, okay? Next, let's continue with this one. Correct the mistake. Each sentence contains one mistake. So, number 1, number 2, who wants to read it? Tell me, Rosangela.
I was watching TV when you call it. I was watching TV when you call it.
Cold.
She were driving.
Cold. Not call it. Cold.
Cold. Cold. She were driving home when it started raining. She was driving home when it started raining.
Started raining. Okay, so I was watching. The problem is with the first one that the verb watch is not in gerund form, present participle form, and she was driving. The problem here is that we don't have the singular past tense of the verb to be. We don't use were for she, we use was, especially when we're talking about something that was taking place. Number 3 and number 4. Number 3 and number 4. Who wants to read number 3 and number 4? Mariela?
We was eating when the waiter came. The correct is we were eating when the waiter came. And number 4, I studied when my phone rang. The correct is I was studying when the phone rang.
Okay, that's good. Luis, are you there, Luis?
Yes.
Yeah. So number 5 and number 6, Luis.
Number 5, the error is in play. They were playing football, when it started to rain. 6, the problem is knock, that is in present. He was sleeping when someone knocked on the door.
Knocked.
Yeah,
in the past. Okay, thank you, Luis. Sadiel, are you there, Sadiel?
I'm here, please.
So, number 7 and number 8, what is the error?
It's okay. While say what I was my brother was watching TV. They got a phone. Who be there? While I was cooking, my brother was watching TV.
Yes. Okay. And number 8.
I was walking when I was sitting and our friend. They got a phone. Should be. Excuse me. I was walking home when I saw an old friend.
Okay, well done. Easy peasy. Remember that when we use while, is because we want to express that two situations are happening simultaneously in this case. Okay, the last exercise is this one. Put the verbs in the correct tenses. Students must decide why each verb is simple or continuous. Okay, so let's start with this. Yesterday, I threw the city when something unusual. Tell me, Rosangela, until unusual. Read it again and tell me the two tenses or the tenses of walk and notice.
Yesterday, I was walking through the city when I noticed something unusual. A man was standing outside a store, and several people were looking at him. I stopped because I wanted to know what was happening. While I was watching, the police arrived and the man ran away. But the police caught him.
Okay, so here we have a little mistake here, but that was good, Rosangela. So let's read it again. Yesterday I was walking, past continuous, through the city when I noticed, past simple, something unusual. A man was standing, past continuous, outside a store, and several people were looking at him, past continuous too. I stopped because I wanted to know what was happening. While I was watching, the police arrived. The man, here is the mistake, the man was running away. Okay, this action was in progress at that moment. So the man was running away, but the police caught him. Okay, the police caught him. So as you can see, we have here a small narrative, and we can see how we can use the past continuous and the past simple in a narrative to change from a action that was taking place to an action that interrupted that sequence or movement or situation and took place. So we have like a background situation, right? Or an action in progress, and we use the past continuous. And when we have an action that interrupts that narrative or that action that was in progress, we use the past simple. It is important to remember that because tomorrow I will assign to all of you a small project that you will bring next Monday to the class, where you will have to build a small story, and you are going to use the past continuous and the past simple simultaneously to express your in this case your narrative, because it's something that you need to know how to do, because we normally speak like this when we are telling a story. It doesn't have to be a literally piece of art, but it has to be good, right? It has to have all the rules, and it has to have all the tenses that we need when we're telling a story. Okay. Okay, so let me introduce, with that being said, let me introduce our new topic. So during this week, we are going to talk about many things. And the first topic is the present perfect continuous. So I don't know if you recall, the first topic that we studied in the course was the present perfect. I don't know if you recall. If you don't recall, I encourage you to go back and review that topic again. Because now we're going to talk about the present perfect continuous, which is a perfect tense. It's not the same as the present perfect, and sometimes students can be confused with one or the other because sometimes they overlap each other. But they're not exactly the same, they imply different things. So let me explain to you real quick what is this about. So because this is a perfect tense, as all the perfect tenses that we have in English, we have an auxiliary for this tense. And that auxiliary is the verb have. Okay? So every time we talk about a present perfect tense, we need the auxiliary have. You can't build a perfect tense. It doesn't matter if it is the present, the past, the continuous, or the future perfect tense without the verb have, okay, as an auxiliary. So in this case, it's the present perfect continuous. So the affirmative sentence is normally subject, have has, plus past participle, plus the present participle or the gerund form of the verb. So we have the subject, have, has, depending on the subject, right? Been, which is the past participle of the verb to be, because it's a continuous tense, so you need the verb to be, as I have told you before, and we need the present participle of the verb in question, in this case, the gerund form of that verb, okay? So, according to standard educational reference materials, there are three primary communicative uses. A continuing event. So these are the uses that we have for the present perfect continuous. An ongoing activity that started in the past and is still active. For example, she's been working on the report. So as you can see, we can see here the structure. Give me a second. Right here. Here we have the auxiliary has in a contracted form. Chis. Remember that not only the verb to be, when it's contracted with a third person singular, uses an S, but also has uses an S. So when you see chis and been, you need to know immediately that we are in a perfect tense. And when you see working, then you know it is a present perfect continuous tense. Okay, so she's been working on the report. We also use the present perfect continuous for repeated continuing events, a series of repeated actions occurring over a period of time. With, which is the contraction of we have, we've been meeting on Tuesdays. Okay, so this is a repeated action occurring over a period of time. And for recent activities whose present evidence is visible, this is really important. The activity itself may be completed, but the visible physical evidence is active in the present moment. We will talk about that in a moment, a little further. So the present perfect continuous is especially natural when we focus on how long an activity has been happening. I have been waiting for 2 hours. She has been working here since January. How long have you been learning English? So for the present perfect continuous, we have 2 words that are really important. For and since. Remember that we discussed these 2 words like 3 weeks ago. So remember that we use for duration. Measures the length of time. For example, for 2 hours, for 3 years, for a long time. And we use since for the starting point. Identifies the specific moment when the action began. Since Monday, since 2020, since 8, since I was a child. For example, I've been working here for 5 years is not the same as I've been working here since 2021. When we use for, we're talking about duration, but we don't know the starting point. I've been working here since 2021. Here we have the starting point, but we don't have the duration of the activity. So it will depend on what we're trying to express, what we're trying to say. Is it the focus on duration, or is it the focus on the starting point of that action? Okay, so the present perfect continuous does not necessarily describe one uninterrupted activity. It can describe repeated activities occurring over a period of time. For example, I've been going to the gym 3 times a week. She's been calling me every morning. They've been meeting regularly since June. Okay, so what is the implied meaning? This pattern of activity started in the past and continues up to the present. It emphasizes the habitual nature of the action during this specific chapter of time. Cambridge reference guides explicitly recognize repeated continuing events as a primary use of this form. Okay, so we use the present perfect continuous not necessarily to describe one uninterrupted activity. Okay, It means only that the activity has been taking place during a period of time. Okay? Okay, so here we have a small comparison between present simple, a permanent state, versus present perfect continuous, temporary. Remember that when we use the present simple, we use it to talk about habits, routines, and permanent state. Okay? We use it to describe regular, stable, or permanent situations. For example, I work at the university. I live in Santo Domingo. Those are permanent state. This sounds like a regular career or a relatively permanent lifestyle choice. Focuses on the state itself rather than the current frame of time. Whereas present perfect continuous emphasizes that a situation is temporary, transitional, or bound to a short time frame. I've been working at the university this semester. In this case, we're emphasizing a temporary arrangement, pilot phase, or short-term contract. Okay? So it's not the same to say I work at the university, which sounds more permanent, than to say I've been working at the university this semester. So it means that it is a temporary situation. It's not permanent. Is that clear? So far, so good? Do you have any questions? Okay. Let's continue. And this is what I was talking about before. This is really, really important, guys. So pay attention. This is an extremely important communicative concept at B2 level. The speaker observes evidence in the present and uses the continuous aspect to infer or explain a recent activity. For instance, your clothes are wet. Have you been walking in the rain? The present evidence is wet clothes. Infers recent activity, walking in rain. Number 2, her eyes are red. She has been crying. The present evidence, red eyes. Infers recent activity, crying. You're out of breath. Have you been running? Present evidence, out of breath. Infers recent activity, running. The roads are wet. It has been raining. Present evidence, wet roads. Infers recent activity, raining. You see that? So the present perfect continuous can be used in that way, and it's pretty common to use it in that way. We do that in Spanish. We see someone wet with wet clothes, and we ask about or infer about the situation that took place that got that person wet. Have you been walking? Have you been walking in the rain? Why? Because we see that the person is wet, right? We can, well, about the red eyes. You see someone with red eyes. Have you been crying? We can ask because we see the red eyes. Or have you been using your phone too much? And if we see someone really, really tired, we can ask, have you been sleeping well? So we use the present perfect continuous to infer or explain something that we're seeing. Okay? Something that we can see, a physical evidence. And we do that in Spanish as well. You look different. Have you been working out? When we see someone who used to be fat and now we see it as a more less fat or as a slim person or in a more with a better shape, in a more fitted or in a fitted version, we ask, have you been working out? Why? Because we see evidence. So remember that. We use the present perfect continuous to try or to ask or to explain something that we are seeing. Okay? Okay, so here we have two cases. Let's see the first one. She has painted the room. This is what? Present perfect, right? She has painted the room. The room is finished. It is a new color. The work is complete. Continues. She has been painting the room. The activity has been taking place. The room might be half finished, or she might have just paused. The process is key. See the difference between one and the other? Similar, but not exactly the same. I've read 3 chapters today. Focus in how many chapters have been checked off. Right, here we have present perfect. I've been reading all afternoon. Focus is on how long the activity has occupied the speaker's time. So, present perfect continuous. Present perfect continuous. I know that this is present perfect because the structure of present perfect is have plus past participle of the verb. Have plus past participle of the verb. But the present perfect continuous is has been painting or have been reading. So as you can see, the emphasis is different when you use only the present perfect, and when you use the present perfect continuous, the emphasis is somewhere else. Is in duration, is on the starting point, or is about the action that was taking place. Is different. Okay. Don't worry, these 2 tenses will come naturally to you later on as you practice with them. Okay? Like naturally. Last but not least, some verbs describe states, feelings, or mental conditions rather than dynamic activities. I don't know if you recall, I explained this too. These are the stative verbs that I mentioned in one of our classes. These verbs don't have a continuous aspect because they represent a state already. Verbs like know, believe, understand, own, belong, want, need. We normally don't use them like knowing, believing, understanding, owing, belonging, wanting, needing. Yes, I know that some of them we have heard them or read somewhere a paper or something that has one of them with ing, but that is a different use for a different purpose that we will talk about that later. For now, just remember that we normally don't use them in this way. I've known her for 10 years. No, I've been knowing her for 10 years. Why? Because known is a stative verb. I don't need to add anything else because the verb itself represents a state. I've understood the problem. I've been understanding the problem. That is a mistake because understand belongs to the same list of stative verbs. Okay? Okay. Something else. Here we have an important nuance. Do not fall into the trap of thinking present perfect continuous something that is still happening. That is too simplistic and leads to errors. Consider I've been cleaning the house. The cleaning may have stopped. The house is clean. The speaker is resting. But the speaker chooses to continuous aspect to emphasize the recent labor rather than just the state of the house. You see? So instead of focusing on the action itself, the speaker is emphasizing the labor. Okay? If I say I've cleaned the house, it's not the same as I've been cleaning the house. Because with the second one, I am underlining that I've been doing something here. I've been cleaning. The present perfect continuous is a choice. The speaker presents the situation from the perspective of its ongoing activity, duration, repetition, or recent process, rather than simply presenting a completed, dry result. It connects the human experience with the activity to the present moment. Again, the speaker presents the situation from the perspective of its ongoing activity, duration, repetition, or recent process, rather than simply presenting a completed, dry result as with the past simple. Okay? So with that being said, guys, you have this little exercise, present perfect continuous, that you have to do for tomorrow's class. Okay? Only this one, because you have another assignment besides this one. So I want you to have enough time to polish your description for tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow we will have some speaking practices or speaking activities about this topic, and we will talk about the second and third conditionals. Really, really important topic. Really, really, and a really interesting topic. I like it very much. Okay, guys, so I will send you the picture of this exercise. We will review this exercise, only this one, tomorrow. Remember that tomorrow you have an assignment. Those of you, I think Sarah and Stephanie, who didn't attend Monday's class, remember that you have something pending, that you have a presentation pending, and you will do it tomorrow. Your partners have a different presentation, a new one that I assigned last Monday. Okay? So, if you don't have any questions, that will be all for this morning, this cloudy morning. It looks like it's going to rain. Let's hope it rains a little bit. It will help us with the heat. It's really hot today. So guys, enjoy the rest of your day. This class will be available in a couple of minutes. See you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Goodbye. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.